but at least his Warlock and Paladin are a very good spot versus that.
Yeah, and again, he might have some differing opinions. He does have the one Shattering Blast, which is going to boost your win percentage against Demon Hunter, I think, a fair bit, but your point still stands. It is not a fantastic matchup. It's definitely not a targeting matchup, Mage versus Demon Hunter. But getting things started right out of the gate with this Paladin, the list that we've seen less often. More players in APAC going with the secret variant, but now we're going to see Prismatic Jewel Kit, a card that I've seen some players maybe preemptively call for nerfs to, even because of the power that it has when it pops off. Do you think it's a keep, though, with no supportive Divine Shields in the early game quite yet?
It's really tough to say. Without one of the one drops, the Jewel Kit really slows down your curve, so I think I'd be inclined to toss it here. I love just getting a minion on board, knowing that the Warlock is committed to very likely just playing a quest on turn 1, although on coin, they do have that option of coining Bloodbound Imp, right? But the early game curve is super important. Gur disagrees. He's going to go ahead and keep the Jewel Kit, but yikes, it's a 0 minion hand!
Yeah, exactly. Even with his hand covering half his face, we could see Gur wincing at that draw, because this is a disaster. My goodness, it's the classic debate about weapons specifically. Like, it happened with Prismatic Jewel Kit, it happens with Doomhammer, kind of happens with Sword of the Fallen as well, where you include 2 of them in your list, not because you want to play both, but because you really want to draw one. And this is the nightmare. This is why some players have transitioned over to 1 Prismatic Jewel Kit in Paladin as opposed to 2, because even though he was more likely to draw it as one of the more powerful early game cards, this can happen, and then things look absolutely gosh dang awful.
And yes, he picked up the Divine Shield minion, but it's off curve. It's hardly boosting anything.
Yeah.
Even if you play it to the point that he's just hero powering on turn 2, and DawN has the double Flame Imps. It's not the cleanest curve, but you know what? Even if you just coin Matron, that kind of gets there against Paladin.
That's fine.
That's completion immediately.
He's just winning board straight up, and he's gonna come. Like, he can just play Tamsin as a 5-mana 7/7.
Oh, no, the curse card.
Oh no!
I'm so scared.
Please,
Not
please.
like this. Not like this.
Don't pay.
I like his card back
mule.
though. I use this card back as well. The Tespo one, is it? No. Tespo one.
I don't think that's the Tespa one. Yeah, I used Tespa for a long time after I got mocked out of using... I used Legend card back for too long, for an embarrassingly long time. Like, you're proud of it at first, and then you move on. You let the new Legend players have the Legend card back, but I stuck by that one for quite a while. Either way, hopefully the mule won't break our spectator quite yet, because at the moment for DawN, I think it very possibly could be Nightshade Matron. He has still plenty of value. This Raise Dead, tap, the Bloodbound Imp as well. He can still keep applying a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think that's... all of these are pretty good options. I don't know if you're ever scared of leaving a minion up here because of Conviction. It's probably not that bad this early on, right? Because it's only targeting 1 minion. And this is a version that's not really running too many buff on board effects. It's mostly buff from hand.
Yeah, it's Mule O'Clock. Hopefully, this time it's not going to break the game instantly. I mean, it's just a very strong player. This is the power of Mule, right? Specifically in Paladin, when you are playing the kind of hand buff mechanics that come from the Jewel Kit and the Banana Man as well.
I hate that double Mule is the right play here because it's going to break our game, but I think, 2/3/4s, trade away 2/3/1s, that just looks strong on board. Maybe not the strongest against a Matron, but knowing that he has Battlemaster in hand for the next turn and like no Divine Shield minions to try and greed the mules a little bit, I think it's fine to just cash out.
Move quickly.
I was worried for a second if Gur's camera froze as another effect of the mules.
I'm
not even anything to do with Hearthstone, but he was just in full concentration mode.
Yeah, I'm on 10
no, it's the left mule, not the left mule.
Oh, it's broken again. Oh, okay. This is one to hopefully try and get fixed for tomorrow. We'll see if the backup spectator worked as well, or if that one has been broken as well. But apologies again if you didn't see. We did miss an entire game earlier on in the stream because of this bug. I didn't even know it was a thing until today. But Encumbered Pack Mule the client just does not like one of them, or the spectator client at least. We'll hopefully get back to the game as soon as possible, because that was actually looking like a pretty interesting one. There are a lot of decisions already that DawN could have done to, as we said, proactively get onto the board with the matron, but instead he's taking a slightly greedier route, anticipating that, you know, yes, it's important to get ahead on board versus Paladin, but you have to be able to back that up. You have to have refill afterwards, or they'll just outvalue you with their very strong mid game.
I really want to see this game, especially Gur deviated from double mule. Oh, we're
Yay!
Okay, so from the first day of school, he picked up Sky Talon and the Safety Inspector, right? And looks like the Safety shuffled back, not the Sky Talon. Can't quite remember what it shuffled, but
something.
The conviction's intact.
Who cares?
I care.
The other jewel kit? I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That
that's
right.
the best
That's sick.
outcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, no. 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 No.
I mean, I guess it's kind of appropriate that I've been told that my laugh does sound a bit like a donkey before, as the donkey is coming in to ruin everything again.
Nobody tell me what my laugh sounds like. I don't want to know. Okay, at least he's not going to play that one, right? It's not buffed. It's just not good. What about buffed mule, Neophyte, and Sky Talon? Trade away the Flame Imp. Maybe you trade the 2/2, but probably not, right? You're not super worried about Flesh Giant procs. It's all about the board right now, so I want to remove the most stats that I can.
Yeah, I mean, the one concern I have is just stick 2 minions on board, if that's possible. If you can do that, the game's over. You've won, because you have Conviction plus the Battle Master on the next turn. And so obviously trading in here into the Flame Imp, I do think is more valuable. Yes, it gives them more self-damaging effects with the Bloodbound Imp, but it's just about sticking that board. All that matters.
For DawN, even though this is painful to discard a Drain Soul, which he will need that healing at some point, maybe, he might not need it if he wins the board, which means Nightshade Matron, double trade, only 1 minion left for Gur, and it's just a 1/3, and DawN can play the Flame Imp. I completely lost track of where the quest completion is at, but I don't think he's far off from getting second tick, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, the Matron discards the Matron in this line, not the Drain Soul. But yes, I still absolutely agree that it is the play. He knows that going into turn 6, this is where you have to leave only 1 minion on the board, unless you want to take a very big gamble that they don't have Battle Master plus Conviction. Absolutely the correct play here.
Oh no. Okay, that's a non-mule play. Okay. I was concerned there was no non-mule play.
My goodness. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, right? You could... I'm just wondering if you could ever consider going Conviction. You could go run that Conviction, right, to actually clear the board. And then if they just go... Yeah, if they just go for Tamsin on the following turn, you only have 12 damage. But you at least have the board still, right, is the important factor.
Yeah, I think that's the right play. It really doesn't feel safe because if they have healing spells, they can quite happily delay the Tamsin, clear the board. I guess then you have the double mule follow-up, but nobody wants to see the double mule follow-up.
Ooh, okay. Obviously, you have to be a little afraid because DawN is dead to certain hands. Second Conviction plus Battle Master would stop him from playing Tamsin. And I guess overall, just how clean of a Drain Soul this is, sure, we can deviate away for 1 turn.
And even if he wasn't dead, to say just singular Battle Master, that means Runthack gets to attack twice, so whatever's in hand, which he knows is 2 mules, get the double buffs. And so, yeah, I completely agree with holding off on Tamsin for a bit. DawN forcing Gur to have good follow-up, which, you know, at the minimum, there's these 3-4 mules. Aww. Goodbye, game.
Yep, Mule has marched its way into the 4th dimension once again and broken the spectator, sadly. But hopefully, as we were able to fix it last time, we'll be able to fix it again this time and see the conclusion of this first game of the series. I mean, you know, if it was, what is that, a 3-4 and a 7-7 Battle Master, I think that was at that point, you're not really allowed to just go for, here we go, Tamsin plus Drain Soul. because second Battlemaster, things could get very scary indeed.
True. This Ray is dead. I mean, he's dealing a lot of damage to Gur.
Yeah, I mean, he's alive, I guess, even with a second Battlemaster, as long as there's no extra conviction.
Yeah. This was a missed order, right? He could have flamed him first because he had a Dark Lair on board?
No, because he played Tamsin, and it would have
right.
not refreshed.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. But DawN has stayed alive very cleanly here, even against second Battlemaster.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, from this point on, DawN is essentially a stealer of souls away from insta-winning the game with Stealer, Matron, Hand of Gul'dan. It would just wrap things up very, very quickly with no real way for Gur to counteract all that burst damage.
I wonder.
But even then, even without that, just Matron discarding the hand, Minari Mosha, it's so much life gain, so much board control. The Flame Imp as well, just for more burst damage on Gur.
It's life gain if the Pack Mule hits the board because it's a non-divine shield taunt. But what if Gur forgoes the Pack Mule?
Rude.
Is that a little bit too fourth dimensional? That's where Pack Mules belong anyway. You know, my first instinct here would be to just play the whole hand.
It's very specific because
they a lot of stats.
They have to have Matron and also a card that costs more than 3 in hand, so that the Minari Mosha isn't just discarded. Like, it's pretty niche. But either way, you know, just with all these minions on board, I guess the other factor is if you're not killing the Battlemasters, there's just too much damage on board anyway. Giving each other Wind Fury, things get very, very scary indeed.
Yeah. The Divine Shield taunt, although it's not necessarily preventing healing because there's another taunt on board, it's protecting the Battlemasters from Tamsin trading in, which is a huge deal. I'm not sure what DawN can even get with 3 draws off of the Matron that gets him out of this. The Matron will end up healing for 8, right, with the Minari, but that leaves him only 1 more mana to play with, and that's not enough to get rid of the Battlemasters as far as I can see. So he's going to check what's in the box for a Stealer. Not enough mana to make that work.
Ooh, so he can go Backfire, and if he hits Touch of Nathrazim, he is still quite handsomely dead.
Handsomely dead. Only you would think to put those words together.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense at all, I don't think. But yeah, even here, Stealer of Souls tap, it's just not coming together. DawN, I thought he'd got that one. He got the early Tamsin quest completion, but for Gur, you know, even as we were talking about, even if he could have seen his opponent's hand with the Matron, the Stealer, and the hand, it was probably still correct to go for the play he went for. Just protect the Battlemasters at all costs, get as much damage face, and in the end, it was too much, just too awkward to get through that very, very powerful Righteous Protector.
Yeah, I was a little bit too fourth dimensional there because obviously if you are playing a 3-4 and giving them an opportunity to heal, if that opportunity to heal comes at the cost of 7 mana, then they are not killing your 7-7 and 5-5 Wind Fury and you win the game. So very nicely done from Gur there. Again, apologies for my failing to understand Tamsin interactions. Getting that wrong. Just a small request to all future players on stream that if you have a play that lets you play only 1 Pack Mule, please play the one on the right. But also the real heroes here, Production, for having a solid backup to the Pack Mule incidents. I mean, we got the stream back online really, really quickly. Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Production, smashing it as always. But now for Gur, having taken the win with the Paladin, he's got left over his Mage and his Hunter, his Warlock, which is specifically the, again, the same variant where he's gone for the hybrid Zoo version, Stealer of Souls in there. The real notable difference, interestingly enough, is he has the Stealer of Souls, he has the Flesh Giants, there's all the Imp nonsense as well, so there's all the Zoo stuff there, but he doesn't have free admission, which is very often seen in this hybrid variant. I can see why you would take it out again, because especially if you're slotting in 2 Neophytes, which he has gone for, you have a lower chance of hitting 2 demons and getting the reduction in mana cost. But man, I've got to say, it's still surprising to see the power of free admission when it does hit. I think is worth the risk of it not hitting.
It's tough to say. I mean, DawN's cut it himself in favor of 2 Drain Souls rather than 2 Neophytes. They simply seem to believe that free admission does not make the cut in this Warlock, perhaps because there is the chance of whiffing on the good demons. Who knows? We'll talk about perhaps the mirror a bit later, depending on whether or not DawN can get the win on his Demon Hunter, which is by and large the standard list. The choice of tradables is 1 Viper, 1 Peddler. Sometimes you see 1 Guild Trader instead of the Viper, but I think for the most part people have transitioned away from Ethereal Aug Merchants, just realizing that a lot of the time you would much rather have greater amounts of spell damage rather than the mana flexibility, because you are discounting cards a lot.
Yeah, I still am kind of unsure about the Aug Merchants, if I'm honest, because I think the reason why I would want to play them, I think, might be because I'm not that good of an OTK Demon Hunter player. I think if I got better, I would want them less. But just because, as I've said, I so often feel like I run out of spell damage in the deck. Like, the power of Moargs as clearing tools in the mid game is so much lower than Talented Arcanist, I find. Like, you know, Moarg plus Immolation Aura is only 4 as opposed to 6 plus with the Arcanist Immolation Aura. And so I do think that having a bit of extra spell damage, maybe it's just training wheels, and once you get better at the deck, you can be less liberal with your spell damage. It's not worth it. But I'm still going to reserve judgment for the moment. I think there's still room potentially for the Aug Merchants, or at the very least the Guild Trader, for a bit of extra spell damage.
Yeah, I'd hear that argument for Guild Trader because it's +2, but essentially the +1 spell damage functions as another Moarg if you have already 1 Moarg in hand, right? So the +1 I feel is a lot less relevant than the +2, which is why I don't really like the Aug Merchants. But we can reserve the build conversations for later as we head into the game where DawN has Sigil of Alacrity, definitely the highest kept card, I think, in terms of win rate. I don't know what filters for that, but this card is just really good because it allows you to bank mana on a draw. It gets you towards quest completion, and if you discount a combo piece with that and get the quest proc, then you get double discounts. You can get the forbidden 0 mana Moarg and do some truly broken things.
Yeah, that's when things start going turbo. If you hit Sigil into Moarg or Il'gynoth, it's very often just a wrap at that point. You have to draw very, very poorly to not get an early lethal after that point. But as you say, you know, on HS Replay, Sigil of Alacrity is very, very high up the Mulligan win rate, but it's also at like 98% keep rate or something absurd like that. Like, people, you just look at the card and it makes sense. It was obviously designed with quest, not OTK necessarily, but just a quest demon hunter of some variety in mind, and very well done as well because it fits perfectly into the deck. Looking like a super strong start from DawN. If he goes for the acrobatics next turn, he'll be able to discount the full suite of 4 cards, and if he's not super unlucky, those will hopefully be a couple of combo pieces to get killing his opponent very quickly.
Yeah, it's just turbo draw. Draw into draw into draw. He could technically complete with double jump and persistent peddler or something that comes off the double jump, but that means you will be using a discount off of a draw from double jump if you're going to play, say, a spectral sight, which means you only end up discounting 3 cards.
Right.
I don't know if that's the end of the world, but I tend to just go for acrobatics here because of mana expenditure.
Well, the first question I think is not how do you complete the quest, it's do you complete the quest? He just drew I-Beam and Tusk Piercer, and now another I-Beam. Like, these are not useless cards to discount, but very, very weak overall. It's not Moarg, Il'gynoth, Arcanist, Fellscream Blast. I wonder, with the amount of card draw he had, with Tusk Piercer, Acrobatics, Double Jump still in hand, if you just let that go, just don't complete the quest on that turn.
It's a possibility, but the thing is, in this matchup, I feel that you don't necessarily have the time to curate your discounts here.
Okay.
Even though you're not getting the good discounts, spending your mana that turn accomplishes the thing that you would do with old OTK Demon Hunter, which is thin your deck, thin your deck, thin your deck, get the combo. If you have to delay everything by a turn or 2, that could be the difference between dying to a Flesh Giant or not. So a lot of the time, you just throw it up in the air, hope you get the good discounts, but in the meantime, at least you are completing your quest fast, or alternatively to what we saw similar from Surrender a while ago, maybe you get a Kurtrus win condition because you just turboed the card draw that quickly.
An interesting draw for DawN because it... Like the sigil, the Illidari studies obviously can be used to like discount the spectral sight by 1, but then it eats up the outcast positioning.
Yes.
But if he goes for this, then he doesn't have the mana to play acrobatics. So even though there were possibilities to potentially get a cleaner quest completion, it does look like by swinging and probably trading, he's going for it this way, which is still pretty clean.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the ideal discounts again, only one really relevant combo piece, but it's zero-cost Illidari studies, right? You shouldn't underestimate these because they can pull you Skull on turn 5 for playable, they can pull you... I don't know what he's going for on 0
do you
mana,
play
though. Yeah, that's a bit weird to me. Because
Like,
it's only Sigil Runner you can play right now.
Right, and you can just...
Oh, okay, I get it.
Okay. It's cute. It's a very, very cute play. I don't know if it's necessarily correct. Like, if they have a Bloodbound Imp on board, do we... I guess that might be the difference between playing Giant or not, right? What's the quest counter at? If it's at 4 or 5, then that's fair enough if he was keeping track of that.
Yeah, we'll find out right here.
Okay. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's if it stops him playing Flesh Giant, it was probably actually worth it. I think it's a smart play.
Yeah, our bad there, DawN. Always feels bad to use I-Beam, like a discount on I-Beam when it goes to 1 the next turn.
Yeah.
But the timing of this was crucial, right? He's bought himself so much time by just not seeing a Giant here. I mean, Gur could still get it down with this race dead. But is it worth it for a single Bloodbound Imp? I feel like it kind of is. Like an 8/8 right now versus what?
100%.
Or yeah.
100%. I am slamming this Giant down.
Almost out of time.
Right. DawN did his best to delay the 8/8, but the onslaught begins from Gur. DawN out of really relevant discount abilities, except for that last Sigil of Alacrity in the deck, because he did proc the quest twice. So now it's a kind of game of removal, while also hopefully attempting to find a way to get Kurtrus online.
Yeah, man, weird hand. If he gets Moarg, he won't be able to play the Chaos Leech, unfortunately, to kill off the Giant for the full 5, which he's definitely looking to do. But I mean, at the same time, it's not a necessity to actually kill the Giant on this turn. You can allow it to deal 8 and then heal up afterwards. So maybe just taking a more measured approach, letting it hit you and then healing up afterwards is the more adult way to go about it.
I think DawN was just looking to complete quest again here, which would involve getting a cheap card draw off of the studies. Misses on it, so maybe you just take Chaos Leech and deal with the Giant that way. He can do it, right? Yeah. Chaos Shallot, Chaos Leech, Chaos Onion.
Yeah, you can double your far-fetched attack with that item, I think.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna soften the Giant with the Kurtrus. I was looking at Leech plus I-Beam. That worked, right? Because the I-Beam costs 2 to begin with. But he does get a stronger board this way.
Ooh, okay. Raised Dead is spicy because... I wonder, because you can obviously kill off your Giant and Raise Dead it 100%, play it again is very, very strong. But I wonder how you actually go about that, right? Because you want this 8 damage to go face. Yes, they can heal back up, but that does make a big difference. So maybe you send it face and then Touch of Nathrazim on your own Giant? Am I getting too fancy?
100% to get the Giant from Raise Dead, right? Because both a Tour Guide and a Bloodbound Imp have died.
Oh, is the Tour Guide died now? My mistake, okay.
Yeah, I think DawN
you're right.
last turn to Kurtrus. So I think with that information, Gur makes an executive decision to just say 8/2 Giant is good enough.
Sure.
And for DawN here, it's still a very real threat. Not difficult to remove because he has I-Beam outcastable post-acrobatics. But is he completing the quest while he removes this Giant? That's the big question.
Obviously, these will not be discounted. This is the final layer, so it's Kurtrus will be the reward for him here, which is not irrelevant, of course, but not something he's really looking towards, I don't think, because it's much more important to just draw through his deck, get the quest, get Il'gynoth drawn towards the OTK.
Demons.
Mana's so awkward here. I mean, he just can't complete quest right now, as far as I can... Well, sorry, he can do second acrobatics. That would take him to not overdrawing Il'gynoth. I mean,
Yeah.
Purchase. But you leave an 8/2 giant on board, which is unacceptable. I think you I-beam, play Sigil, and then try to complete quest with acrobatics, or just give up on quest altogether, just draw normally.
Yeah, he's going with the second half of acrobatics to draw 2 extra cards, so this still completes the quest for him.
Okay.
It's very expensive, both in terms of well, everything: mana, his health total, board control. Like, he's losing a lot here.
Oh man, I don't know. It's an 8/2.
So 10, Minari up to 13. You're not realistically looking at lethal on this turn.
It's just brilliant from DawN. Does he have like a big clear with Moarg, Fellscream instead? I mean, it doesn't really achieve much if you can't clear, heal, and play Kurchus all in one turn, right? Which I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
figure out if it's really worth it to get Kurt.
I think maybe we might be tunnel visioning on the Kurchus aspect of this too much. It did just draw him 2 cards. That's a big deal to just get through his deck, find the Il'gynoth, or even just, find more Moargs, more clears, whatever it may be. It may just be that he's expecting to never play Kurchus.
That's definitely valid. In those cases, though, you do expect to have to live to around turn 8, turn 9, because you're not really getting discounts anymore by that point, which I feel would make me inclined to remove an 8/2 if I want to live till turn 8, turn 9.
You're not wrong, and he does overdraw a card this way anyway.
Oh, ammo hurts so bad here.
That is brutal, my goodness. Poor.
Look, I think you can still heal to quite a lot here, but nice positioning from Gur to put the giant as far away from other high attack cards. I-beam giant, Moarg, Arcanist, Fellscream is doable on the 3 left minions. Thankfully, I-beam dodges Cult Neophyte.
And then you go Arcanist, Fellscream Blast. Okay, yeah. You clear off all the damage. It's again, this is the problem though. This is where Warlock shines. Is even though they don't kill the Demon Hunter very often, even though they don't go for the OTK before the Demon Hunter can do theirs, these threats are so annoying. This is a bunch of Moargs and the Arcanist all gone.
Although, having said that, this is where Kurchus is really good now. I think DawN's just winning. He's at 30 again. So he goes Kurchus Acrobatics, can pretty much draw everything left. There's still Arcanist, 1 Moarg, right?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, but there's Neophyte Giant here. That's the big deal. DawN's play over 2 turns, I believe, was setting up to buy him a turn to go Kurchus. But Gur is able to replay the giant. Also, DawN's ordering last turn deliberately left up a Neophyte rather than a Bloodbound Imp, which is probably better because he knows about Tamsin in the near future, so the Bloodbound becomes kind of a 4-attack minion sooner rather than later.
And just not more raise dead potential into more Neophytes as well definitely helps.
But this is the crucial turn for DawN, right? After you play Kurchus, it's very realistic you can win the game next turn as long as you get enough card draw, and he has an Acrobatics. So he kind of just has to live here, and, I think it's likely. Tamsin without Sealer.
Yeah, it's essentially guaranteed that he survives the turn. I can't even think what it would take for him to die without Battlemaster in the deck.
Okay, there's the second Fellscream.
Yep, second Fellscream.
All he needs is, 3 cards. The Il'gynoth, the Arcanist, and the Moarg. Which, it's super doable to get all that with an Acrobatics and an Il'gynoth in play.
It's super doable,
wait,
especially...
He didn't play the Spectral?
Yeah, that was probably supposed to be played, right?
Yeah, while it's an Outcast.
Yeah.
But I think he still gets there. Oh wait, Backfire? Does that do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's tapping to try and, if he survives the turn, go Stealer plus Backfire the turn after.
through, and now the touch gives him some extra health. I think going to 26 might be relevant here.
Yeah,
there's a combination where maybe DawN doesn't get Philosophy, but he does get, like, say, Arcanist and more. That's 18? Okay, maybe it's not relevant, right? Because there's still a weapon, so if he has mana to press hero power, then 24 and hero power is still lethal.
Yeah, there's only a really big breakpoint between like 24 and 32.
Almost out of time.
So touch or not, I don't know.
I don't know. Probably you just chill. Because it's possible that all their removal is right at the bottom and they have to tank this extra damage. Like, I think that's more likely than the 4 health mattering.
Yeah, but I think DawN almost 100% wins here. He goes with the outcast stuff first, then you attack face. Just don't put the peddler in the pool when you go for the acrobatic stuff. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. This is 100%. You just go Philosophy, Moog, Spectral Sight. Like, you probably didn't even have to swing there just to guarantee it, but yeah.
His deck costs nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, play those two, draw the last 2 cards. Il'gynoth costs 0, Arcanist costs 0, Moargs costs 0, Felspine Blast costs 1, and that's gonna be the 36 for DawN. Super impressively done. You know what? I think I was being too hard on DawN, and I'm just worse at this deck than he is. Like, he saw the line.
He did. There's that one turn where he, the subsequent turn he overdrew by 1. I think there was like a minor optimization, but I agree with you. The overall philosophy that he took in this game plan, I think, was pretty spot on. He knew exactly how much combo itch he would need later on, and how much of it he could afford to spend on removal. He wasn't overly flustered by the flesh giants. It's easy to see them and invest your entire hand, everything you have, into killing it, because if it hits you, you're going to die. But he realized that was not the case, let it hit him, healed back up afterwards, and I agree. Pretty good game from DawN overall. I'm impressed.
Yeah, the early game I agreed with a lot in terms of just not being super concerned with what you discount because there is a Kurtrus game plan. But what I failed to recognize that DawN saw immediately is that there is room to play Kurtrus in this matchup. I thought he was so far behind against the Giants that there would be no room to go for it. But he held on to all of the combo pieces that he had extra pieces of to get that big healing, get this big board clear turn, only a Neophyte on the backswing, which allowed him a Kurtrus turn. I agree perhaps some of the overdraw was not necessary. I'm still unconvinced if trying to get the acrobatics extra 2 draws that turn was the best way to go for quest completion rather than just second acrobatics so that you wouldn't like overdraw something. But then that also makes it more reliant on having to draw card draw post Kurtrus.
Right.
It's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
But overall, main point is DawN saw the lines. He is tied up with Gur, and now they're in the mirror.
Very nicely done by DawN indeed. As you said, the Zoo Warlock mirror. The only difference between the lists, I believe, is as I was saying, whether or not they are running the free admissions, because I think DawN is going for no neophytes, double free admission, whereas oh no, I'm wrong. Neither of them are running the free admission. My mistake. So he's got something else for the neophytes instead.
He's got Drain Souls, just more defensive overall.
Okay.
And I hardly ever run Drain Souls in a deck that doesn't have regular Tamsin Roam because I feel like she just makes that card so insane. But definitely has utility because, it still procs Flesh Giant as long as you're healing. And in this matchup, maybe can chip away against some Dark Glare, some Flame Imps, not to be underestimated.
Well, in terms of the scrambling for board right out of the gate, I do think that Gur has got himself a pretty juicy hand. Dark Glares, Tour Guides, taps. There's a lot working together here. He just needs to figure out how much is he willing to hurt him, to damage himself without having the quest played. Because if he's willing to do so, he has some pretty strong plays already. Yeah,
I mean, we could see if it's maximum tempo, like Dark Lair, attack, tour guide, tap, and then quest. But I think that's perhaps a little bit too much of the quest wasted. I was looking at Dark Lair, attack, then face, but Gur here is just gonna hold off on the Dark Lair altogether, which I can definitely still see the merit of, because the Dark Lair isn't looking especially safe on board, especially when DawN's running 2 Drain Souls.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I was kind of even looking at the line of Dark Lair attack, Tour Guide tap, and then Broomstick at the end just to kill off the opposing Bloodbound Imp. Like, it denies a lot of your opponent's counterplay, and you would be quite drastically ahead on board. I don't know. Obviously, then you've dealt 4 damage to yourself without playing the quest. It slows your subsequent turns down drastically, but something to consider at least.
Yeah, that's very creative thinking. I think that wouldn't have been terrible. Because it would leave your minions at 1 HP, which is like something you necessarily want to drain soul from DawN's perspective. But the Broomstick, I definitely think that's mainly in there to rush your Flesh Giants into things to get value trades. It has this very real consequence we can see here now, though, that Gur is behind on board, relying on good draws off of this. He can attack and then backfire.
That's disgusting, right? Super strong.
He only has 1 mana to go after with that.
Sure, you play the Broom, whatever. You know, if you want to kill the Dark Lair, I think that's fine. But you could even just as well leave it up. Save the Broom for when you hit your Flesh Giants is also a very, very valid line of thought.
True. Just the fact that he's cheating so much mana is very strong here. Ooh. Yeah, I like Tour Guide. Oh, wait. Broom, kill Dark Lair. Okay.
Yeah, it's tough, right? He knows there's a Flame Imp in the pool of dead minions, and so Raise Dead with a Dark Lair on board and Flame Imp in the pool. Like, there's a lot of mana cheating that could have occurred.
Looking at it again, I like the Broom because Gur's pretty much committed to Matron next turn, it looks like. Very strong, so the Broom might not see play till a couple turns later, and he's definitely not behind on value here with the fact that he drew from Backfire and the Hand of Gul'dan. Alternatively, Gur could find a spot to just stick a Stealer of Souls and then go for the Matron. That is a little bit ambitious, but man, would it be cool.
Okay, DawN going for rapid quest completion. We could have... I would have heard out the argument for just slamming Stealer of Souls on that turn and attacking in. Like, it's not a deck that relies 100% on Stealer of Souls for its win condition. But at the same time, he just goes with a slightly slower line, gets less on the board, but does hold on to a very early quest completion potential. It could just be Raise Dead next turn, play Tamsin.
True. But the best thing against that is play the Giant. If DawN's going to hurt himself all the way down to Tamsin, then you play a Giant and say you have to take this 8 on top of that. So we could see the Fell Bolt here for perfect quest completion, it looks like. So the Giant goes down to 1 mana. Can fit in tap, sure. I guess, wait. That misses a bit on quest completion, right? Because he was at 5?
We should have done that first, then tap?
I think so, even though it's tap last lull. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess maybe he gets something that changes his mind. If he got extra Giant, could he have got that down? I don't think he could, actually.
Unsure, but the big thing is Giant on board, huge deal. DawN can't just go for Tamsin this turn because he is dead if he plays 2 Raise Deads.
Yep, just dead. And I think this maybe is the criticism I would have of DawN's game plan is quest completion is great, make no mistake. It's how you do a lot of your damage with this deck. But you're playing a board-based matchup. You have to be able to keep up with your opponent. And if you just have, half a Bloodbound Imp on the board and they play Nightshade Matron or Flesh Giant or even just their own Stealer of Souls that you can't answer, you need to be, I think, a little bit more proactive, which left him in a position where he was just kind of dead, as we see here.
He's not dead, though.
He's not dead, but he's not dead.
Yep.
Possibilities.
For Gur, I can't really see where the quest is. It's 2 out of 7 on the stage to get to Tamsin, right? And so, can he get Tamsin and immediately deal lethal? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm
In
not
that case,
seeing
just continue getting the board on lock. Broom is a great way to go about that.
Darkglare Tour Guide tap. Nah, you can get fancy, but I still don't think there's any way to actually do it.
As long as he kills the Stealer, he's fine, right?
He's fine, yeah. Yep.
Stealer, even if you have to rush like a Broomstick and the Tour Guide into the Flame Imp, sure. If the Giant goes face, I don't think DawN has outs.
Yeah, we could even have gone Darkglare tap, have 1 mana left over, and then rush in the other 2 and just had an extra minion on board. Probably slightly preferred that. But at the same time, you know, Darkglare does have some potential to pop off on its own.
Yeah, even if DawN had, say, Drain Soul here, he's just not killing the Giant even with 2 Drain Soul. So Gur identifying that all he had to do is leave his Giant at full health, give DawN no room to have health to get to that last proc towards Tamsin, means that Gur sealed that mirror victory very, very cleanly. Such an interesting game. Right out the gate, we were talking about so many possibilities for Gur to go about it. He did go for the Broomstick like 1 turn later than you and 1 turn earlier than I would have wanted, but it seemed like that was the ideal turn.
Yeah, no, I think he understood the matchup very, very well. Like, it was a... He took a very board-focused approach, obviously getting ahead on board at the start, like coin into the Darkglare in order to try and get ahead on board and tempo out a lot of threats, but he didn't let it completely take over his game plan. Like, DawN, I think, was too all-in on the quest completion, whereas I think Gur had a little bit more of a good middle ground where he didn't completely disregard the quest, as I was kind of suggesting, with all-in on that turn with the Bloodbound Imp, the Darkglares, and all that nonsense, but he also didn't go too all-in on it, and that middle ground let him get an early Giant down because he kept damaging himself, activating the quest, and led to an easy win.
Okay, easy at the very end, but it was definitely well fought.
Well fought, yes.
To get to that point from Gur, that all he had to do is make sure his Flesh Giant was safe. But it does lead us to the point now where Gur is only left on his Mage, and DawN has chosen to queue up this mirror rather than the Zoo into it first, which I can get behind. I feel like Zoo really puts itself within the range of fireballs, etc., even if there's no quest completion yet on the other side. And we do know that Gur is not necessarily a quest completer. He is just a burn your facer.
Yeah, he is an average play stuff and punch you gamer, which I am a big fan of. But for both players here on their quest mage in the mirror, things, I don't know, it will get interesting because as you correctly pointed out, like there is a very valid win condition, as we have seen, of pointing all your burn face. You need to discover a little bit of ha ha ha. Very good, Gia. You do need to discover a little bit of extra burn, like, for example, some extra fireballs, as Gur demonstrated yesterday, or the, as we saw from Give Please, right, where you discover Master Cthulhu, send all that damage phase. It is a possibility, but both players have a stronger quest completion game plan. 2 Shattering Blast for DawN, 1 for Gur, is a frost spell that you can play even if there's nothing on board, even if there's nothing frozen, whatever. It's always playable, so that you can just complete your quest a bit quicker. So I wonder if we might see moving away from that game plan of just going for the burn when necessary and doubling down on rapid quest completion, especially from DawN.
Yeah, absolutely. I am memeing very hard, of course. Like, if Gur could help it, of course he wouldn't just go for pointing all the spells at face. It just happened yesterday in a pan out where his deck gave him no frost spells until the very end. And in the meantime, he was just giving himself that alternate game plan, right? If the quest plan A is not working, I'm going to go with Fireball plan B, C, D, E through Z. And it worked. In the mirror, obviously, you are still looking to complete the quest. We just saw demonstrations that it's not necessary to win, but it's still the most consistent way of winning. And so, like you said, the Shattering Blast can come in very clutch for DawN because he's running 2 copies. What DawN has cut for that is 1 Thief, though, which in a way also just helps you get frost spells, not necessarily from the Discover, but because it's a target for your own Brain Phase.
Well, while the game itself may be quite intricate and difficult to analyze, in the mulligan, it's flow, flow, flow. Why don't you like me? Nobody likes me. To get things going, because you just want to get the flow. Obviously, it's an arcane spell, but more importantly, just makes your deck so much more fluid in terms of your overarching game plan. Interestingly enough, for Gur, he has the One Thief to try and help with his Frost spell playing. But with the Flurry in hand, that obviously can only target enemy minions, so it's still going to be a little bit awkward for him.
That's very true. And he already has, like, at some point, a theoretical Brain Freeze target because of his primordial studies. But I'm super curious to see what he picks off of here, because I'm still wondering what was going on with the Phoenix picks from Alutamu a while ago. No tweets just yet to explain it, Derek, but no option for Phoenix here. This looks like a very clean Thalnos to me, but I don't think it's getting played this turn. I think Gur will wait to just Brain Freeze that out on his own turn without using the coin next turn.
I do like that we are assuming the role of Alutemu's disappointed parents, where we're like, well, would you like to explain yourself, young man? Do you have any explanation for picking Phoenix over Blood Mage Thalnos? Not in my house!
Except we do want him to go on social media about it.
True. Get on your phone. That's what we can be saying. But either way, getting things going for Gur here. He has now quest completion, right? He can go for Hot Streak, One Thief, Brain Freeze it in order to kill it off. And with Snap Freeze, you go Snap Freeze it and then Brain Freeze it, right? Isn't that just the nuts?
Yeah. I am looking at Counterspell and dismissing it immediately because if you're playing it, you're not going to kill your One Thief. But then, upon second review, his hand kind of lacks a good arcane spell. So strange that you say that, because the deck has so many arcane spells, but the Devolving, like, you also can't play it if your opponent doesn't play a minion, and they will always kill their minion when they play it. So I think on third review, this is the best, your original instinct and what Gur ultimately goes for. Just believe your deck will give you arcane spells. It's so likely to happen.
Oh, and here for DawN as well. It's perfect for him on the other side. He's already played a Frost spell for this level, given that he drew and then threw out the Shattering Blast, as is absolutely correct. If you were surprised by him just doing 3 mana nothing, it was the right play. But now for the following time, he's got Thalnos, Brain Freeze, Cram Session. He can go First Flame later on as well, or whatever. He's very rapidly burning through his quest.
True. I just wonder if the Brain Freeze has to happen on his own Thalnos. Like, we can see Gur here coining out a ping just to remove freeze targets. But DawN has flow, right? You always want to play that before Cram Session. Is it too slow in terms of quest completion, though, because the turn you laid out a while ago looks so perfect?
I mean, it's all kind of about how you do it, right? Because you only have one minion and you have both Brain Freeze and First Flame that you want to target it with. So I guess just going, accepting the fact that you're not completing the quest this turn, playing the Encounters flow is probably more important.
Yeah, it's just the decision of don't play Cram Session until after Arcanist, and I think that's probably reasonable as long as he gets a timely Frost spell for that third stage. That's a Frost spell, but again, conditional. Looking for those Shattering Blasts that he has teched in.
Well, it's Fire that he needs, right? He played the Brain Freeze, and so by trading the Fire Sale, I believe he was pretty much banking on hitting either Hot Streak or Ignite pretty much in the next 2 cards, so that he could then play Tamsin for the 5 mana as well.
Sorry, is he on second or third? Because I'm thinking he needs a Frost for third step, but I could be wrong if he's already on third.
Oh, maybe he is only on second. No, I think you might be right. I might be getting ahead of myself.
That's okay. Okay. Fire Sale playable even with no minions on board, so that can complete whatever stage he's on.
There we go. Okay, Discover. You are correct. I was getting ahead of myself.
So now the Frost spell does become something of a problem. The Snap Freeze, it's all conditional.
Take Entity because the only minion they're playing is Tamsin?
Yeah, Varden, yeah.
Varden, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting confused.
I mean, also we're thinking about, because it's an arcane, right? And I was talking about how you would much rather save the Cram Session for post-Varden if you can, but I think DawN is taking the more measured approach here of drawing towards a non-conditional Frost spell, which he needs to actually get to Varden in the first place. So Shattering Blast / Ice Barrier is what he needs. Meanwhile, for Gur, he is on third stage with no type of spell played yet. So Shattering plus Ignite plus Intellect is Okay, so he just does it in the order of Shattering Arcane now, and then Ignite into Varden next turn.
Shattering, Ignite.
Shattering Arcane now.
Shattering Arcane and then...
Varden.
Okay, sorry, yeah, okay. No, you're right, that works out perfectly. And there's no fear of overdrawing. Obviously, you can't overdraw Varden if you're not playing a draw effect for the final one.
Don't know if I'm thinking too small because it's perfect mana expenditure and, you know, timely quest completion.
Right.
It is drawing a lot of cards before you've seen a flow. Maybe that's what Gur is concerned about. But he is going Gur here, just chucking fireballs at the face. It means that, as far as I can see, Varden cannot be gotten and played next turn.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Unless like a minion is played, and then maybe you can get there with the flurry. Big deal. So it's only fire that he needs to play now, which obviously makes you kind of annoyed that you've thrown away fire sale twice. It's very expensive, but it is a guaranteed way to proc the quest at least.
Yeah. So Gur went just fireball and just a fire spell last turn, right?
Yeah.
So he still needs Frost Arcane, which is doable this turn, but again, that's pretty much the whole turn. Wow, is he just not completing quest?
I mean, I think he might be working towards it, but it's clearly not his top priority, is it?
Yeah, not at all.
Interesting. I guess
okay,
maybe...
I thought I was memeing when I was giving Gur fireballs as key cards, but I was saying the quest is still priority, but it happened that he didn't have the option to go for quest yesterday, but now he's had the option and he's deliberately been delaying Varden.
Yeah, I think a big part of it might be because he's missed out on the flow, and if you don't have flow, like going Varden and then Cram Session very often doesn't give you lethal the turn after. Like,
He pings!
What were you expecting? Cram Session or Primordial?
Maybe Primordial. I mean, I don't know.
Anything else, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the ping is wrong. It's just so evident that Gur's game plan is not about quests, and I really do wonder if it's about flow or not flow, like you said, because you can make that executive decision that I don't think my quest is fast enough if my opponent has had flow and I don't. But DawN's also been struggling to complete his quest until this point. Like, Gur could have had Varden first, like this turn, right?
Yep, very true. And Varden finally coming down here, even okay. Killing it off himself. I respect it. I think it's probably correct. The odds of them having Flurry or Brain Freeze are incredibly high at this point. And so sure, let's just get rid of that and make it harder for them. But now Gur surely has to be on his own quest completion.
Yes. Yes. Or does he just draw towards the Ignites he shuffled in his deck?
Unless...
Okay, it's funny because he actually just has hand space issues next turn, especially with no flows played.
Yeah, it gets very awkward.
You know, you really want to play Cram Session after Varden, but what do you throw from your hand if DawN has 0 minions?
Okay, DawN, I think, got a Ruined Orb there, which is okay. It's not bad at all. If it can generate him an Arcane Intellect, a Cram Session in the absolute dream, he's looking good.
Sorry, I was playing a bunch of that meme deck.
Don't tell me you actually played a game of that. I think that would make me uninstall Hearthstone if I had to play one game.
I won 2 games out of like 10, and one of them that I beat was Face Hunter for no reason. I have no idea how that happens, but I lost to all the Warlocks. Flesh Giants happen sooner than your Elemental finales. Anyway, is this just Deep Freeze? No way, right?
Oh, it sucks. They just go 1 Flurry and it's over. Like,
yeah.
I mean, everything sucks. You know, obviously, these are disastrous options. He's actually playing it. Oh my god.
He can snap the Varden, but the thing is, I think on average you are supposed to just get something on board. But if DawN could see Gur's hand, where he's super happy to see things he can throw these on, then DawN would not have made this play.
No,
the
exactly.
Thing is, DawN just doesn't have a win condition right now other than top deck. So, like, you are supposed to just play your own threats in that situation, I guess.
But you start, I mean, I guess you don't have to start devolving. You can throw it down at any point, but you go double 0 mana spell. You need to get rid of one more. Sure, brain freeze, devolving, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then cram session.
Yep, just go, 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 go. I mean, he doesn't need to go that fast. DawN's on 13 because Gur's been gurring.
Oh, it's still not there. Okay.
Oh, it's so late. Last cards for Gur. Sorry, these don't include the flurries. So it's like 2 ignites, 2 and a fireball. So if you just shuck a Rune Orb face, don't really have mana to play Cram Session and everything you want afterward.
Yeah, Rune Orb, Arcane Intellect. Probably just play Devolving as well. Yeah,
Wait, what if you just trade both the Fire Sails and try to snipe the 2 ignites? And then you can Fire Sail one and play the other one? Go, 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 go!
Oh no, Fireball! Fireball! Hot Streak Fireball!
Fireball! Hot Streak Fireball! He did it!
Oh my god, that's so sick. He saw it just in time, exactly for the lethal, and whether or not DawN would have been able to hit lethal himself on the following turn, we sadly shall never know. But if you are a Gur fan, I'm sure there's many of you out there, you should be very happy indeed. Another very cool series from the main man himself, making a real splash here in GM. He's just playing really, really strong Hearthstone.
And it's strong for reasons that we don't necessarily expect. I thought Mage was just done and solved. The second you saw the deck, it's like, okay, complete quest, player cram session, win. We saw that from Alutemo. He didn't immediately win. Sometimes you can't deal the OTK immediately, and that means that sometimes your opponent that has been incrementally damaging you throughout the course of the game can get their own lethal on the backswing. It just so happened that Gur had that win condition in mind. He only went for Varden when he had pretty much run dry of burn in the hand, even though he could have gotten the Arcanist 1 or 2 turns sooner. It was incredible. Right down to that last part, I only saw the out for immediately lethal towards 5 seconds left in the turn. Gur had to work really fast there. His instincts brought him to the victory, and my goodness, what a top 4 we have.
I'm super excited. We're getting to see, obviously, Surrender as